Today's episode of This Week in Startups is brought to you by Hiscox. Go to hiscoxusa.com/smallbiz for your business insurance needs. And by GoToMeeting. Sign up for GoToMeeting today by using promo code START to begin your free trial.
Hey, today on This Week in Startups, Jon Ferrara is here. He's the CEO of Nimble, and previously, you may remember GoldMine, which all my salespeople used for a decade. And Tyler's going to drop some legendary insights, all that and more right now on This Week in Startups. Stay with us.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah. Money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
Hey, everybody, this is going to be a great program. Jon Ferrara, did I get it right?
Yeah.
Really?
Ferrara.
Ferrara.
Like Ferrari. Ferrara.
Yeah. And look at how I'm professional. My phone is ringing in the middle of the show. I just lambasted everybody for all these little minor technical things, and then I forget to turn off my phone. I'm really tired, everybody. I've been working so hard, but getting a lot done. And hey, Tyler's here with me. How are you doing, Tyler?
Good.
I hear we're going to go to London.
That's what I heard.
You texted me this morning. It looks like there's a speaking gig. Somebody said, hey, we want Jason to speak.
Yep.
You negotiated the fee.
Yeah.
All that kind of particulars.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out they're going to pay the fee, which is nice.
Yeah.
And instead of me taking that fee and then going to Commerce and playing 1025 PLO, Parliament Omaha, we're going to maybe have a party or something over there. So we're going to do, I think maybe we should do London and Paris. Should we do that thing we've been threatening?
The double header, double threat.
Yeah, we're thinking of doing. This is what we're thinking of doing. You guys tell me what you think. Sorry, my neck is tight too today. Start in London. Have a This Week in Startups meetup. Everybody comes. Maybe I interview somebody awesome, or maybe we just have 6, promising young startups present. Then we go out. We have a little bit of a party kind of thing at night, right? We go maybe hit some of the clubs, and then we all crash out. At 2 or 3 in the morning, and then we all get up and have lunch on the train to Paris. We get to Paris, then we go have lunch again, and we go eat some cafe for 3 hours, check into our hotels, and then we have another meetup in Paris. But then what I was thinking is, then we go from Paris, and then we get on the train and go somewhere else the next day. Where can we take the train from Paris?
From Paris, you can go to Amsterdam or Spain or Germany.
Avignon. Go to Provence.
No, we have to see
tech
startups.
Scene.
We have to see tech scenes.
So I was thinking wine.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I like what you think.
It's going to be Berlin, probably.
Oh, yes, let's do that. We'll do at 3 days, 3 cities, This Week in Startups tour. Boom.
Boom.
Love it. Okay, everybody. Things are going great for the show. If you join and you want to have a great life and you want to be part of the insider stuff going on, doing this top launch tablet event, if you were a member of the TWiST producers program, twistlist.co, and you were one of the 150 members on that back channel, I just emailed that list and said, hey, anybody want to go to the event? First 10, 15 people to respond are going to get a free $1,000 ticket. A bunch of people are like, oh my God, $1,000 ticket, I'll do it. It's only $2 a month to be a broke-ass fan and support the show and get on the mailing list. I look at the mailing list as my way of sort of talking with the insiders of how we're doing on the show, how we're succeeding in our mission to share entrepreneurial stories, discuss the trials and tribulations of being an entrepreneur, and how to get better and how all of us can build better products, build better companies, and have more fulfilled lives. So go join the TWiST program. And hey, one other thing you're going to want to do is go sign up for GoToMeeting. They hold unlimited meetings there for one flat fee. It's what I use to do all my meetings. And obviously the thing I've been talking about for the last couple of weeks and we've been using is HD Faces. This is the best product ever. You can, there's a lot of free video products out there on the web to do video chat. None of them have the beauty and the symmetry and gorgeous butteriness of GoToMeeting's HD Faces. Go use it. It's gorgeous. I use it. And we use it here on the program. When we have people, we had Richard McManus from Read Write Web on last week, and he looked, how good did he look on that HD Faces?
Really good.
I'm just shocked. It's almost like we were sort of debating here internally at the This Week in Network, can we do shows with people on remotes? And it was sort of looking crummy with the old software we used to use. I'm not going to say anything derogatory about those folks, Skype. But it didn't look that good. And now we got HD Faces, and it opens up a world of possibilities for us. And the interesting thing is, I don't think even Steve Jobs was ready for the power of GoToMeeting's HD Faces, because he put like little dinky SD cameras in these goddamn laptops. So I have to drop 80 beans on a 1080p camera to send to everybody. Anyway, GoToMeeting is the best. It's the greatest. And hey, Tyler's giving away, in his infinite wisdom, a 13-inch MacBook Air and one of these Logitech HD cameras that we use here in the studio and that we send to our guests. All you have to do is sign up for GoToMeeting and send your receipt to contest@thisweekend.com. contest@thisweekend.com, and you'll be entered into it. This is going to end on October 3rd, and then Tyler's going to give away this beautiful 13-inch MacBook Air and the Logitech camera. So get in there and use GoToMeeting. Today on the program is a serial entrepreneur. He founded a piece of software called GoldMine. GoldMine, I can't tell you the heartache I had with this program, because I would have all these salespeople like, hey, I want to use this program, I want to use that program. I'd hire salespeople for my magazines. They'd be like, I have to use GoldMine. And they would come in and they would be religious. GoldMine, GoldMine, GoldMine. I have to use GoldMine, da-da-da-da-da. And then I'd have to drop like $800 a copy, $600 a copy. I don't know what you were taking from me, John, at that point in time, but every salesperson, then they would leave the company and they'd be like, I gotta take my GoldMine with me. It was like that GoldMine was everything. You launched this piece of software, GoldMine, when?
Unbelievably, it was 20 years ago in 1989.
1989. So you were part of the PC software revolution.
I go back to the days where networks were used to share printers and hard drives.
Right.
And GoldMine was one of the first networkable business applications. And the whole idea behind GoldMine was that back then, 20 years ago, we managed our contacts in daytimers, and we communicated with pink while you were out slips, and we worked as islands.
Right.
So 20 years ago, I had a need. And I think the best products come from your own need, because you're passionate about and you understand the problem.
Right.
And my problem was I was working for a startup called Banyan.
Banyan Vines?
Banyan Vines.
You're kidding. I was a Novell certified engineer back in the day, and Banyan Vines was the other competing networking thing. For people who don't know, back in the early days, computers were not networked. They didn't have Ethernet ports in them. I'm dead serious. I was the guy who had to put the Ethernet ports in them.
So this gray-haired guy named Jim Whetstone hired me as the first systems engineer on the West Coast for Banyan. And as I moved up through sales and sales management, I quickly figured out that salespeople don't work in a vacuum. They work as part of a larger team, and everybody in the team touches the customer. But back then, there wasn't a tool that enabled all of us to manage our communications, our contacts, our sales pipeline, and work together as a team.
Yeah.
And GoldMine became from that.
So you just started making that.
Yeah.
And it was desktop software, so it was DOS-based or Windows-based?
It was DOS-based. So
hold on 1 second, John. For the people in the audience, I'm sorry, I have to do this. It's embarrassing, but there was an operating system called DOS, Disk Operating System. You can look it up on Wikipedia. It was text-based, and that's how we used computers before there was a GUI, a Windows operating system. Okay, back to the program.
So back in those days, there wasn't even network business software. There was barely network accounting programs. And the networkable programs was network scheduling and email.
Right. There was really, when you got a network, it was for two reasons. Share printers.
Right.
And maybe share files across it. Maybe
share a hard drive.
Maybe share a hard drive.
Right.
Which of course would crash, because I would load my program to access a file,
right.
And you would have to yell at me across the hall and say, hey, can you stop using Paradox so I can open the database?
Right.
Like the first version of Paradox, you couldn't open the same database to different people.
So this thing called DOS file record locking came out.
Right.
That allowed programmers to actually share and lock records within a file.
Right.
And so basically I started GoldMine with a college friend of mine, Alon. And he was the programmer, and I basically visualized the idea of GoldMine. I designed it in
What are you, like a 30-year-old guy back then?
27.
27. Look at you. You must have been a prodigy then.
Yeah.
27-year-olds didn't start companies then, right? I mean.
No, there were 45-year-olds back then. Now 27-year-olds start companies.
Well, now 17-year-olds start companies.
Right.
Okay, keep going.
So basically, I designed the original screen in Dan Bricklin's demo, which is the guy who basically.
Dan Bricklin?
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Dan Bricklin is the guy who created VisiCalc. VisiCalc was the precursor to Lotus 123, which it was the precursor to Microsoft Excel, which was the precursor to Google Docs spreadsheets. Go ahead. Keep
Okay. So Elon wrote it, and then we had this program, right? So how do you...
Dan Bricklin, he was a genius, wasn't he?
He was amazing.
He created, we're talking like he's dead, he's still alive.
The whole reason why corporations bought computers back in those days
Was VisiCalc.
VisiCalc, right? Because they were tired of the IT departments. And they wanted the ability to actually do something themselves, so they bought PCs with VisiCalc and they put it on their desktop. And then Novell tied them together into a network, and then they needed applications.
Right. So now, and that was, I just heard some angels, and that means somebody just joined the TWiST list. That's awesome. Nice to hear. So this is an incredible trip down memory lane. When you were 27, how did you fund a company in 1989?
So Elon and I had about $3,000 between us, and we moved in an apartment together, and we hammered it out. We never took a dime of venture, no bank loans. I didn't even know
So
what
the two of
VC
you were
was.
able to make the software and then get customers without VC.
Without. So in the whole life of GoldMine, in the 10 years we had it, we never took a dime from a bank. We never took a dime from a VC. I've never even been in a VC's office all my life. Okay. So how did we grow the company?
How the hell did you do that? This became like, how many copies of GoldMine were sold in that decade?
When we got done with the company and sold it 10 years later, we had 2 million customers, 5,000 resellers, 500 third-party add-on products, and we were doing close to $70 million a year.
$70 million. And this is in the 90s.
Yes.
When $70 million was a lot of money back then.
It's a lot of money.
And life was simpler back then, wasn't it? You made something and you sold it. And people were more than willing to pay for a piece of software.
Well, you know, the whole idea about GoldMine was that it solved a need. Right. And this was before Outlook. There was no tool to manage relationships.
Right.
There wasn't SFA or CRM, and we basically invented a category back then. Yeah. And the category was a tool that enabled businesses to attract and retain customers. And that hasn't changed. Right. There still is a need for that. But back then, people didn't understand why they even needed a network business application, let alone a sales.
So you had to do a lot of evangelical work to say, like, here's why you need it.
So, exactly. So I had a choice in building the company. How do we sell it? I can get on the phone for 8 hours a day and try to sell it, or I can find other people to sell it. And so what I did is I went after Novell resellers.
So this was a whole ecosystem that existed for packaged software, as we called it. This is before software as a service. There was packaged software. And you would find a value-added reseller, what they called VARs.
Right.
And you'd say, hey, I'll give you GoldMine for $300 a copy. You sell it for $6.
Well, I was even simpler than that. I called them up and I built a relationship. I got GoldMine into their hands because people sell what they know and they know what they use. And so my whole philosophy was if I can get them to use it, they'd sell it because people recommend what they love and use.
So you get the VARs to manage their IT consultants or their IT salespeople. Once they use it, they're telling the clients, you should use this too.
Exactly.
And what the great part of that period of time was, the value-added resellers would sell software, but they'd also sell a layer of services with it. So you would sell, because that was my first job out of school, was working on one of these. You'd sell your Novell Networks software. You made 25% margin on that, 50% margin. And then you sold integration hours at $200 a piece.
Exactly. And what was great about that, they already had an existing base of customers. So if I can get them to use it, then they can sell it to the existing base of customers, and they did. Wow. So what I did was essentially invent the first CRM VAR channel. I went to all the Landa shows, which was the Novell networking dealer shows, and I got a network of a few hundred resellers around the United States, and that was how we built the company, was leveraging these guys as our channel.
And then 10 years in, you sell the company. Was that because there was starting to be competition, or because you got a sick offer and you wanted to retire? What happened?
You know,
take us through the sale.
After running a company for 10 years, Jason, I felt like I did everything I wanted to do at that moment in my life. And at the end, and they don't give you a badge of how many dollars you make, but I think they should give you a badge of how many souls you touch. And I think the most important souls to touch are your family and friends. Yeah. And as an entrepreneur, you know there's enough time in the day for that. Yeah. But as a successful entrepreneur, I decided to make time for that. When I was 40 years old, I sold the company with Elon for close to $100 million, and I spent the next 8 years of my life raising babies.
Love it. But now you are back.
I'm back because what happened was
unfinished business.
Exactly. What happened was, I'm an entrepreneur, and I love to help businesses grow. And I started swimming in the social river and saw the immense power of social communications. And I looked around for a relationship manager that integrated social. I was shocked. Not only could I not find a relationship manager that integrated social, that I recognized very quickly that the CRM systems weren't even about relationships. CRM systems are management tools to keep their finger on the pulse of the business and the hand around the neck of the salesperson, and they don't even enable people to manage relationships because most people live in Outlook, Address Book, or Google Contacts. That's where your communication and your calendar
Hold on a second. There was a couple pieces in there, and we need to unpack.
Okay.
You said the CRM software is to put a hand around the neck of the salesperson. In other words, it's babysitting software for your salespeople.
It's Big Brother.
Did you make your calls? How many calls did you make?
Mm-hmm.
Did you fill out the thing? But it doesn't necessarily make you bond with the client more.
No, it doesn't even let you see the client. So you basically are in Outlook managing your communications and your activities. You're in Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn managing your social communication, and you put the things in the CRM system that management wants so that you don't get in trouble when the reports are run.
You get the gold stars, you made the number of calls, but we don't know the texture of it.
And in
It lacks
fact,
texture.
most salespeople don't even put their real relationships in their company's CRM systems. They keep a separate set of books. They keep a separate contact tool that they keep their real contacts in, and they only put in the CRM system.
Because they're proprietary about it. They want to keep their little their little secret in their little book.
That's their gold mine.
That's their own personal gold mine.
Exactly.
How does one separate the relationships in the modern era today that the employees have with the clients versus the company has with the clients, or can they? Or should you not even try?
You know, that's a deep and wide question, Jason, and that's a topic for a whole nother show.
Okay.
It's too vast to even cover here. But the short answer is that they're shared.
They're shared.
They're shared.
So both parties build the relationship. How does a startup company, what advice would you give them, knowing how transient people are these days in terms of employment? People stay 2 years at a job, you're lucky. How does a corporation, a startup, maintain, and how does the management team maintain the relationship with the client when you have salespeople managing it? Are there best practices to that, or is it a software solution?
I think that if you can give your team a tool that enables them to be more successful in their job, that they'll use it. And if they use that tool, then you will get the contacts in the relationship tool, and you'll be able to share them.
Now, do you have your software here on the computer? Can we pull it up?
Yeah.
All right, let's do a little tour of this, because we have a big build up here. And while you're getting ready to show us your new gold mine after your 8-year retirement, you're coming out of retirement like Jay-Z here, the king of contact and CRM, the godfather, is back, so to speak. Some would argue, some have argued on blogs, no room for an old guy like you in the business. You're too old. It's a young man's game.
Yeah.
What do you say to that?
Well, I say that what I bring to the table is 20 years of domain experience in relationship management, and that most of the Ruby on Rails startup contact tools are either too limited, too complex, and that most of the CRM systems are legacy tools that most people don't even enjoy being in. And what the marketplace needs today is a tool that enables an individual to be able to manage their contact calendar communications, their social list and engagement, and their collaboration as one basis of a foundation of a future social business.
So three pieces there. Contact management is a sort of foundation.
Right.
You have social interaction on social networks.
Right.
And what was the third pillar of this Nimble tool? Collaboration. Got it. Let's do the tour. I mean, I'm fascinated. And you know what I say? You're not too old, John.
Thank you, sir.
I always hear that from people. They're like, oh, it's not an old guy's game. Excuse me, time out. Zynga, Groupon, Twitter, these are all guys in their 30s and 40s. What are you talking about? Fred Wilson as a VC is he's 50 now, I think, and he's having the best run he's ever had. And the big run is not on 20-somethings. I mean, yes, you have your Zuckerbergs, but Dennis from Foursquare, a lot of these guys are older, statesmen. I think the second time, third time up to bat is really when it's nice to have a lot of experience, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Calms you down a little bit?
You're comfortable in your shoes,
Yeah.
Imagine if you could actually go back to high school right now or college.
Just mac out.
With the knowledge that you have today.
You'd be supremely confident.
You just rock, right?
Yeah, you just rock it out. And that's what you can do in your startup.
Yeah. And so what I'd like to do is lay out the premise of Nimble, because I
Yeah,
think it
go ahead,
really
do that, go
helps.
ahead, do that, yeah.
So the idea is that our contacts and the way we communicate with people today are in 6 different tabs in our browsers and 3 different apps on our desktops. We communicate via we keep our contacts in Outlook, Address Book, Google Contacts, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and our phone. We communicate via IM, text message, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Skype, and email. None of these things are connected. It's hard to know what you said, who you said it to, let alone what your team members said.
Yeah.
And it's hard to work that way. So what Nimble does is it brings together your disparate contacts from wherever they are, out there in the cloud, in your Outlook, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, et cetera, into one contact. So it merges it into one contact record. And then from there, we go out and connect all the ways you communicate, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, or email, and connect that direct communication and the indirect social listen engagement into one complete system.
Got it.
So
Let's see it.
Let's take.
I mean, that's a big promise there.
It is a big promise.
How long have you been working on this project?
So I started working with Nimble about 2 years ago. So 2 years ago we set out to.
Hey, can you do me a favor? Can you hit Command Shift plus on your keyboard? If you do it all
Sure.
at once, Command Shift plus. That'll make your screen twice as big, I think. And then we'll actually be able to see it here. So 2 years of work on this, huh? Plus. Okay, now can we maximize the screen? Let's just talk over the screen. Okay, so we're looking at it now. Perfect. Now we got a full-on screen here. So beautiful Web 2.0 simple interface.
So let me just take it to. Okay, here we go.
Okay, so you're logging in, John. If you're just joining us, John is the founder of Nimble.com and formerly GoldMine, which was the best-selling for a decade content management system out there.
So can you see the
pull it up,
screen
guys.
here?
Yeah.
Okay, control.
Okay, screen's up.
Control.
And what you see on that screen, by the way, is what the audience is seeing right now.
Okay, there we go. So you start out with Nimble by mapping into where your contacts are. Where are your contacts today? They're out there in Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google, Outlook. You map into there, and then from here you can go ahead and import in all your contacts from the disparate places. We synchronize in your calendar and all your communications, and then what you end up with is a single contact record where you can see exactly who that person is, how you know them.
That's me.
And all the communication that's occurred. So any
Look at
communication.
that. So here's the communication with Carolyn Bedgood, who is the producer, one of the producers here at This Week in Startups.
Right.
She's talking about you being on the show.
And so this communication went to Brenda internally at my company, Carolyn in your company, and copied to you, and Nimble collects it automatically. And the beauty of that is that you don't have to copy in CCC and BCC your communication activities into Nimble. They all automatically come in from all the ways that you communicate.
Now, how did you pull in Carolyn's into my record?
And so basically, Carolyn comes in
I was
automatically.
CC'd?
Yes, you were CC'd on that.
That's why. Okay,
Right.
so you just got that. And I see you're pulling in my Facebook feed where you can see I got a little haircut before I started the show.
Right. So
some tweets.
So basically, I can see how we're connected. I can look at your walls and look at your background. I can go ahead and see who you are, how we're connected, and then I can go ahead and send you messages on any of the networks we're connected on. I could schedule activities for you or log activities.
Now, when you send those messages, are you doing that same little innovation you had on GoldMine, which is it pulls it in and saves it into the system?
Yes.
Now, that was, correct me if I'm wrong, the golden feature.
It was. And still today, the CRM systems don't do that.
Explain how you came up with that golden feature. Do you remember? Go back in time.
The whole idea about relationships is saying what you're going to do and doing what you're going to say. And you do that through your calendar and your communications.
Follow up.
So basically, in GoldMine, we integrated contact, calendar, and communications into one tool. And let me take you through.
So when you would email somebody,
yes,
you would start in GoldMine, fire off an email.
Yes.
And I believe, did GoldMine have an email
yes.
capability built into it? Yes. So you would use that as your email client in a way.
There was no Outlook back then.
There was no Outlook back then. But in future versions, I think you could use Outlook as your email.
You could.
And then it would just suck those emails in.
Right.
So me as the employer, the business, we were talking about before, making sure that I build a relationship, I have that whole footprint. I have the breadcrumbs
Right.
of every email exchange that occurred.
Right, and the thing is today in most CRM systems you have to BCC and CC your communications
So you
and
forget.
copy your activities in,
You forget.
and nobody does it.
Right.
Right.
So you've built a layer that people have to work through.
Right.
So I, as the boss, can be a little draconian and say, hey, in fairness, hey, use Nimble, let everything go through there. There's a benefit to it,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah.
Right. You say, hey, you got to do it. That's
But
what
the
I'm paying
beauty
for.
is you don't have to do it in Nimble. You can continue to work in Google for your mail, your contacts, and your calendar.
And
You
then
can
what? It sucks it down?
automatically. It synchronizes.
Why? Because it knows that I emailed that person and they have a record in Nimble?
We synchronize completely with the Google system and with Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn.
Now, what if I'm dating this person at, this business, right?
Right.
I start dating my rep from the Staples Center as a sales guy, or reversed, and now it starts pulling that stuff in there. Is that just buyer beware? I should be using that on my private Hotmail account?
It's probably a good idea, but in future versions, you'll be able to set privacy on specific messages if they are not business related.
Because that is something that you would want to do, is to say, hey, I don't want this one in the system.
Right.
So,
Yeah, we're just going to put this one over here.
Yeah, put this one over. Whoop,
Yeah.
Keep it over here, and that is an issue, right? People, the lines blur. In fact, in good sales relationships, the line should blur. You're taking them to the Jay-Z concert or to the Lakers game to try to get something going.
Well, you know what I like to tell people, Jason, is that life is social. Business is social.
Right.
People buy from people they like, and they like people who know them. In the old days, we used to go in somebody's office to do that. We'd look at their walls, the degree of their school, the pictures of their friends, the books they read.
Hey, that was like the classic technique, is to know people's kids' names.
Right.
They'd be like, oh, John, how's Susie, Bobby, and whatever.
But deeper than that, right? You find things you share in common in order to share that with them and build intimacy and trust. It's only through intimacy and trust that people will share with you their business issues, which as a professional, you can then solve. Today, we're doing that electronically. And Nimble helps you to do it better because we automatically map out the social relationships. So when you put a name in Nimble, we'll automatically go find the Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn, map that in, allow you to begin listening and engaging them, deciding if you want to connect and follow them. And we do all that automatically for you at no extra cost.
Interesting. Hey, so what is the cost of this program? How do you charge? Is it software as a service kind of situation?
So for standalone people, it's free because I believe that.
Whoa. So single salesperson, it's free.
That's right.
So single login, you pay nothing.
That's right. And if you want to do that as a team, it's $10 per user per month.
I think Salesforce now is $300 a month.
Well, it's $135. It's $65. It's $65. It's $35. It depends on which way you want to go with it. But if you want to get access to their app store, it's at least $65 per month. And that's where all the goodies are. So it's sort of a big barrier to entry.
Hey, when we get back from this commercial break, I want to hear how you're taking on Salesforce, because that's the big elephant in the room. They've had a tremendous success. In fact, if you didn't take your 10-year layoff, you may have created Salesforce. And I want to know how you feel when you see Mark Benioff going public and creating a multi-billion-dollar company that if you hadn't taken those 8 years to spend with your family, you might have built. Will you tell us your honest reaction to that after the commercial break?
I will.
All right, so let's go to this commercial break. And hey, I said last week, hey, give me your feedback on this new style of advertising. We're trying to be innovative here. Everybody knows you need to have insurance for your company. Hiscox is a great insurance company. I asked them some basic questions in like a little Q&A format because I thought it might be more interesting and engaging than me just telling you about the product, like they tell you. So, and I asked them some like brutally honest questions, as is my sort of trademark style. And it's cheap. Insurance is cheap, but the cost of not having it is expensive. So let's hear from Hiscox about that very issue, the cost of insurance. So how much money does this run a startup company typically? What's the range of expense?
For the direct, it starts at less than $25 a month.
Right.
Obviously, as you grow and as the exposure gets greater, then it's going to go up. But just knowing that for $22 or less than $25 a month, you can have that peace of mind that in the event something does happen, you've got that partner there with you, a well-known, experienced insurance company to have your back. I think that's
most startups were spending $25 a day on their Starbucks run at 3 o'clock. Right. So it's kind of insane that you don't have insurance. But I think it's because it's intimidating for people, the process. So if people are confused, you have the self-serve. Is there a way for them, when they're confused, to actually engage a person, or is it like self-serve only?
No, there's absolutely a call center to engage a person and talk through any questions that they have. And again, as they get a little bit bigger, if they want to engage a broker to answer those types of questions, they certainly can.
Right. And so you guys are now doing this leap year series.
That's right.
What was the inspiration there? You just trying to get into the startup ecosystem and wanted to make something entertaining?
Well, yeah, I think the head of our of that direct group that had that concept, as I recall him telling me that it was. We know that business. We know startups. We wanted them to realize that we do. We thought it was a great way to kind of get our name out there and say, look, Hiscox is there for you. And we thought that was just a clever way to kind of show.
Yeah, very smart, I think, to come into the ecosystem and just sort of engage everybody in a fun way. And so how do I know I've got the right coverage? Because I went through the forums, and Tyler, who works with me on the program here, he actually got it for his startup. How many forms am I filling out? How much time is it taking? Do I need to have like an attorney, or how do I know what to put in the drop-down boxes? Is
Absolutely.
it really difficult?
With the direct business, it's really about trusting who you're working with. And again, Hiscox has been around since 1901. We're an established company, have been doing this for many, many years. The direct offering, you're working with a solid company. The process is not that extensive at all. A few questions online, you can order it right there and get your policy. So it doesn't take that much time. And again, we know what we're doing. We've done this for a long time. Again, if you get bigger and you want to engage a broker that can help you kind of go through the more details. And
is that what you're doing here? Is this like a massively profitable business doing 3 or 4 person companies, or is this a way for you to start the relationship really early so that you've got a relationship and you've supported the entrepreneur if they break out and when they get bigger?
Absolutely. Obviously that's part of it. But again, we've done this successfully. In the UK, we have a direct model over there that's worked really well. We've brought it to the US as a proven concept. And that's absolutely right. I look at it maybe in a little different light. I think of it as we're always going to be there for you. So, as you grow, we can continue to be your service provider. And so, whether you want to come direct to us or through a broker, we've got the products.
It's such a great way on a business level for you guys to get lead gen from the small companies that maybe, taking a half day to go meet with insurance brokers is too much work for them, or they're too busy. Just a great way to start at ground zero with them, to just start the relationship and help them grow. So guys, I've given you a lot of advice over the years. Create a great domain name. Hey, pick your investors wisely. Find a revenue stream. Worship your clients. All these things that we've talked about. There's a very simple blocking and tackling. You need to have a good attorney. You need to have great insurance, or else you're just going to be up at night. And you can't be up at night when you're trying to change the world with a product. Thanks so much for being on the program. And thanks for supporting This Week in Startups as well. We really appreciate it.
Great, thank you.
Awesome. We'll see you next time on This Week in Startups.
And it just makes it's amazing. It's just like I got like 10 emails. People love the ad format. And it's just such an amazing privilege to be sold out as an in terms of advertisements. We're usually sold out 2 months in advance or whatever, 3 months in advance sometimes. We get to pick the people we want to have sponsor the program. So it's just great that we have high-end people that we can get behind their products. I don't have to schlock I wouldn't do it anyway, but we have to schlock for something we don't believe in. All right. Well, before we went to that amazing, informative commercial break for Hiscox Insurance, I was asking you if you took this 8-year break, and during that 8-year period, Mark Benioff picked up the torch that you put down, and he ran with it, and has made 50 times what you made on GoldMine. You ever think about that?
No.
Or I should say, when you think about it, what do you think? How do you reconcile it? Come on now.
Most guys wait till they're 60 to try to spend time with their kids. And by that time, they're gone. And I sold GoldMine when I was 40. And I got to do things most dads don't get to do. And this may sound pat to you, but it's priceless. And so for me, and I think most people do it backwards. They retire at 65, and by that time, they're not young enough to even enjoy it. I got to spend 8 years of the best times of my life doing things I wanted to do. I went back and got a degree in photography. I was able to grow my soul, and we could talk about that at some other point. But ultimately, I think it makes me a better entrepreneur. So basically, when I think about Mark, I applaud him. You know why? Because he had the balls to basically go out there when nobody else believed in the cloud and made it happen. Okay? He didn't pioneer CRM. I know somebody else who did.
Right.
But what he did do is he pioneered the cloud and laid the foundation for all these other companies to go after that, and that's great.
Yeah.
Okay? But what I'm pioneering today is social relationship management, is social business, and I've been talking about it for 2 years. So when Mark gets up there and starts talking about the social enterprise, I say go Mark, because he's going to spend millions of dollars educating the marketplace about the need to be a social business and why it's important to listen and engage, and guess what? When he does, it just makes a bigger market for us, because they're an enterprise company, and it's hard for enterprise companies to dance and be nimble with small businesses, and that's our bread and butter. That's what we're great at.
So he's going to get the 1,000 plus.
Exactly.
But you're going to get the 50 minus.
Yeah.
You're going to go for the, that's why it's free for one.
Right.
You're going to pay a modest amount for 2 or 3.
Right.
And with Salesforce, you can't just go and buy it. You have to go get on the phone with somebody and negotiate. I mean, it's a pain in the ass. I had to do it.
The cost of Nimble.
I could never figure out what the price of the product was. That was, let me tell you something. You know you're getting ripped off. I'm not saying that Mark's ripping people off, but if people will not tell you the price of something, it is a big indication that you're about to be ripped off. And I hate when it's not clear how much something costs.
The price of Nimble is less than a lunch that most business people spend in a day. At $10 or free. And the way that we built GoldMine back in the day is that we were the Trojan horse into businesses. We got individual people to love it and use it. And
they bought it themselves. They brought it with them.
And they infected companies with it. They
brought
it in.
And it happened to me.
Yeah.
One salesperson here, Shannon, she worked out here. She opened her thing up. She's like, let me look at my GoldMine. I'm like, what's that? She's like, it's software. I'm like, did I pay for that? No, I did. Or I think actually she had the copy from her last company.
And if you can get individual people to be successful with this product, they'll bring it into companies and they'll give it to their team members. They'll invite them in, and it'll grow. And I think there's a huge place in the marketplace.
What do you think, Tyler?
You know what that reminds me of?
What does it remind you of?
Being a security guard at a mattress store. On the graveyard. You're being a graveyard security guard at a mattress shop.
Being the graveyard security guard at a mattress shop, the nighttime security guard at a mattress shop. Now,
because if you got it all right there.
Wait. No, that's my job is to explain it.
Okay.
If you're a security guard and you're charged with securing mattresses, but the people who would steal them.
Graveyard shift.
The graveyard shift. You can just basically lay down and go to sleep because there's nothing to do. No. What exactly does this insight mean?
If you're the security guard on the graveyard shift.
On the graveyard shift.
You know how
it's nighttime.
You know how security guards are, right?
Yeah.
Like if no one's looking, like they're going to be leaning back.
Sure.
On the graveyard shift, and it's full of mattresses.
Right. You're just going to lay down. It's over.
Right. If you're surrounded by
I see. So you're in a sea of sleeping.
Temptation. Yes.
A sea of temptation, right.
Yes.
And this relates to Nimble how?
His point is you try and get it, people around, everyone around you.
So then it's just so easy to just...
It's actually the same thing he said earlier on, where he said he was giving it to his VARs.
Right.
Like trying to get them soak in it.
Right.
So that they, once you lay down on the mattress, you're sold.
Yeah, exactly. Then all of a sudden everybody's just sleeping in it. You're soaking in it.
Like every security guard at a mattress store has a really nice mattress at home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, no question.
Absolutely. And so what's changed about running a company now? I mean, it's 20 years later, 25, 30 years later. Gosh, it's changed a lot, hasn't it? Or has it?
A lot of things haven't changed. I think
what hasn't changed?
The need to build culture and community. The need to create an environment where people feel like they're part of something bigger, that to involve that culture and community, not just within your internal team, but with your constituency. Who is your constituency? It's the end users, it's the resellers, it's the third-party developers, it's the editors and analysts, it's the bloggers.
How do you do that? Because you're using the big fancy HBS, words, culture, and we hear those big words. How do you do it? How does somebody go from just using those big fancy words that you read in the Harvard Business Review to actually making it happen inside their company?
The whole idea is helping people grow, to create an environment where they could be part of something bigger and it can change their lives. So at GoldMine, we would hire people sometimes straight out of school. Sometimes they were a hairdresser before. We would take people, we wouldn't look for people with big college degrees. We'd look for people who are amazing human beings that we can teach them to technology. And what we'd do is we'd bring them in and we'd provide them with an environment where they can grow professionally and they would change their lives. And because of that, it created an environment where there was a team of people that were just doing things that were, some people would say, were impossible, right? I mean, GoldMine was this company that was grown with 2 kids with no business experience, and they basically built a pioneering company with nothing. And it was all because of the culture and the community.
Getting the person in there who maybe doesn't have the experience, you train them up, get them to buy into the mission. I would suspect they're going to be a little bit more loyal than the person who comes with a ton of experience and who says, let me tell you how to do it.
And sometimes the person with all the experience isn't even somebody who's going to want to even do the work. They're going to want to manage other people to do the work. And I like doers.
You know, I had the same philosophy. I feel like we're simpatico in a lot of ways, John.
We've been that way for a long time since we met at South by.
Yeah, it's very simpatico because I like the up-and-comers. And I like the people who do stuff. I can't stand those like management people who they just want to say like, I'll just help somebody how to do it. It's like you either make something or you sell something. It's very little in between in my experience in life. Like you either make it or you sell it. Like anybody else is like strategy. I mean, that's Tyler's title, but strategy. There's very little room for a strategy person, right? I mean,
yeah.
But you actually do stuff. And
I was about to jump in and be like, I think I've done a few things.
No, you are like a get things done guy. I mean, I gave you the strategy thing just because I like to have you travel with me and we can hang out. But.
So let me tell you how I built this brand so far.
Yeah.
Because I haven't spent a dime on marketing. So basically, since we launched the product in January, we haven't spent any money on marketing, advertising. It's all been done through word of mouth.
Right.
How do we do that? So when I came up with the idea of Nimble, I started swimming in the social river. And I started connecting with other thought leaders in the CRM, social media, social business space, and sharing my idea with them and getting feedback and putting that back into the product to refine the product and the messaging. So eventually, these other thought leaders owned the idea and helped create it, and thereby are part of the community that is then engaged in sharing that idea with others. And that's part of the culture in the community too. And then what we did is we went out to the former resellers, these guys, these CRM resellers that had been selling these legacy systems that weren't social.
What's like the legacy system that's out there now? It's not GoldMine, is it?
Well,
is that still out there?
It's not really out there.
No.
So in the old days, you had Act and GoldMine, and then basically the guy who did Act went and did. Effectively copied what GoldMine was and created this thing called Sales Logics, and then Microsoft CRM was started after I sold GoldMine, and then Salesforce. But most of those systems are written with legacy architecture and code, and they're actually expensive to run and also maintain. The cost per user in a cloud system today is pennies. I'm curious what it costs Salesforce to pay to basically maintain each user. I'd argue it's in the dollars. That's expensive, let alone the salespeople that they have.
You're saying to maintain
their cost.
Their cost of their cloud and software?
Yeah.
Right. It's expensive because they're constantly developing it and they've got a big footprint?
Well, at a recent conference, there was an executive from Salesforce, and they asked him, how are you going to deal with more nimble competitors? And he said, well, we've got 10,000 salespeople. That's not an answer, because each of those salespeople costs them $100,000 to $300,000 a year. We have no salespeople.
Right.
What we have is our solution partners. So we've got 300 VARs out there around the world who are our footprint in the street, who are going to be delivering the solution.
And what's their deal? If they sell it, they get a piece of the action?
Ongoing.
Forever?
Yeah.
Reoccurring revenue?
Yes, sir.
Name of the game today, isn't it? That's what all these IT integrators want. What we called back in the day service revenue.
And they're being forgotten. Most SaaS companies are trying to sell direct, and they've forgotten about that reseller out there. And I'm going to argue that most business people, end users, are too busy doing whatever it took to get in business, to stay in business, for them to step outside of their business and look at process and figure out what tools, how to implement them, how to maintain them, and what to get out of them.
Yeah.
And so the solution partners out there are begging for a solution that they can deliver to the marketplace and get their foot in the door.
You're a single founder now, or you team up with your old founder?
I called Elon, and he told me that he's busy building iPhone apps, and
He sat it out.
he sat it out.
Yeah. So you tried to get the band back together, but you had to go solo.
You know, I got some of the band back together.
Some of them, yeah.
So Brenda and I have been together for 20 years, and
that's nice.
we're knocking the PR stuff out together, and I've got some of the old sales guys back on board.
Oh, very nice.
And
And you're funding this all yourself?
I am.
Pretty brave and bold, given the fact that money is free today. And for a guy like you, with a track record, I'm guessing VCs are kicking the door down. In fact, I'm not guessing. I know they are.
The thing is that number one, I'm not doing this for the money. I'm the most dangerous kind of entrepreneur. Okay, I'm doing this because I dig this stuff.
Right.
And so I'm like a guy building a car in a garage.
You're a passionate nerd.
I am. I am a nerd.
You're a CRM nerd.
I am. In
You
fact,
love it.
I actually have a computer science degree from back in the day, so I'm actually technical on the side there,
Right.
but I'm all about sales and,
Right.
and marketing. So I'm building this car, and I want to race the car. Why would I ever sell the car before I even get it on the track?
Yeah.
And why would I bring somebody else in early on until I've built the brand, the beachhead, proved the concept, and established the basis of it?
2 years in, you feel you've done that? You got the beachhead?
I think I am.
Yeah.
I
So
think
that
we're ready to
means
put the foot
these
on the
guys who
gas.
are knocking on the door constantly, maybe it's time for a little expansion capital.
I might step into my first office of a sandhill company at some point in the near future.
They are coming down and calling you saying, can I come to Los Angeles and take you to lunch?
They do that.
And that's when you know that you've got the balance of power in your favor, when they say, I'm coming to you in Los Angeles, as opposed to, can you stop by our office? Or some little associate calling you saying, hi, I'm an associate at this place, right?
You know the game.
You don't talk to associates, right?
No.
They email, you don't even respond. Delete.
There's a lot of emails.
The associate emails you, be honest, you're just like, this is a silly VC firm.
If they're not serious enough to pick up the phone, right?
Agree 100%.
And so
That's like sales guy tactic right there.
I can
That's
tell
the sale, because when sales
No,
guys know
let me
how
tell you something.
when somebody's really interested.
These
yeah.
VCs, it is outrageous. The less important the VC, the more apt you are to get an email from their associate.
Yeah.
Now, I'll just tell a little story here, if you don't mind. I know it's your interview, but I'll just tell you.
No, let's
it's a
hear it.
little, it reminded me of something. When I was starting Mahalo, I emailed like 3 people. Mark Cuban, Michael Moritz, and the equivalent of Michael Moritz. I'm not going to say who, but in the venture space. A name that big. Top 2 or 3 VCs ever, legendary. My phone in my office, my phone on my cell phone, and my email all ring within 2 hours. It's Michael Moritz. Thank you for calling me. We would love to hear about your new project. We're available to you. The same day, Michael Moritz. Michael Moritz, Jason Calacanis, right? I mean, like, balance of power is 1,000 times more important than I'll ever be. Then, to this day, I get these emails from associates. VC firms, I would never take their money. I mean, I would take their money and literally throw it in the dumpster on the back. If they came to me and said, here's $10 million, I'd say, okay, thank you. Please throw it in the garbage in the back because I would not want you on my board. You're such a knucklehead. And those knuckleheads send an associate. But this is the core of what you're trying to solve. Isn't it with Nimble in a way and the sales? What is wrong with people that they think they can offload the most important part of the relationship, which is picking up the goddamn phone?
People have forgotten about the phone. And the phone is one of the most powerful tools beyond eyeballs. Right? Because when you connect eyeballs, right, you see that sparkle. You make a connection that is unseparable.
Tyler's seeing the sparkle right now.
Yeah.
Tyler, you're falling in love with Nimble, aren't you?
So I'm going to tell you a story.
Tell me a story.
A friend of mine sent an email and introduced me to a guy named Doug Leon.
Doug Leon?
Yeah.
I've heard of him.
Okay. So Doug's was Sequoia.
Yeah.
And 5 minutes.
Doug is fantastic.
I'm going to tell you how fantastic he is. 5 minutes after the email introduction, I got an email from Doug. What's your phone number?
Of course.
Same
experience.
5 minutes later, he calls me up and spends a significant amount of time with me and asked me for a little bit of info on what we're doing.
Yep.
And I politely let him know that we're not looking for money, that we're busy building the company. But he says, you know what, I'd like to see this. And so he says, I'm taking off down on a business trip to South America. I'll look at it on the plane. So I get a call the next day on his weekend.
The weekend.
Yeah, on his weekend.
This is cool.
So Doug Leone has the Midas touch, more money than probably all of us in this room.
Him
right?
and Moritz, those are the guys. They did it, right? Google, Yahoo, PayPal.
And he does it because he digs it, right?
Yeah, he's not calling in rich.
He's not doing it for the money.
He could call in rich, just like Tyler calls in sick.
He's doing it because he believes in what he's doing. He's passionate about it, and he loves it. And I think if you could find somebody who's passionate, who does what they love, that's who you want to do business with.
You're going to take the Sequoia money. I know it. You're a Sequoia company. I tell you that. It's a Sequoia type company. You're a Sequoia type entrepreneur. You would have been at the the private dinner last week. It was pretty cool. You come to the private dinner yet? You didn't come? Oh. I got like this cool private. I'm not supposed to talk about all the Sequoia stuff that goes down, but there's like a cool like private dinner. All the Sequoia CEOs, 300 people, like very DL. You can't tweet from, you can't take pictures. But you go and it's like, I'm sitting at my table and it was just like, legend, future legend, me. Roll off. Pretty cool. It's a cool group to be associated with. Hey, here's a blocking and tackling question from Domain Noob. He wants to know how much you got Nimble.com for. That sounds like a $100,000 domain to me.
That's a great question. And that's a social business answer.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Right? Let's hear it. So I started this thing called GoldMine, and GoldMine was a great brand, right? I mean, one single word, it really meant something in regards to your business, because the more you put into your contacts, the more gold you get out of it. So when I'm starting a new product that is about relationships and about small business, what are small businesses if they're not nimble? We all want to be nimble, right? It's a beautiful word.
Jack be nimble, Jack be quick.
Right. So I looked around the marketplace. I found out who had it. It was this big Bay Area technology company, billion-dollar company. They'd bought Nimble Technology back in the day, '99, for $350 million, and the domain was sitting on their shelf.
So it's a $350 million domain, actually.
So I called them up. Ignored me. I sent them emails. Ignored me. So what I did is I went through LinkedIn and I found their CEO and founder in LinkedIn. I looked at his walls, his background. I found what we shared in common. I sent him an email asking for his help and sharing what we had in common together. 24 hours later, he sent me an email. John, I remember what you did at GoldMine. I'd love to help you out. I'll see what I can do.
Wow.
30 days later, I own Nimble.com for $5,000.
You own what is literally a $100,000 domain name for $5,000.
Yes, and I did it through relationships because I wouldn't have never got done by calling up the VP of marketing. They ignored me. And so today in business, if you could build connections and relationships, you're unstoppable. But today's CRM systems don't enable you to do it.
Yeah, they sort of slow you down
does.
because they're just like you're saying, it's like draconian system to slow you down, and some mid-level manager wants to give a report to some senior manager who wants to give it to the CEO that says, look, we're doing our job. You know, and it's like, that's not the job. The job is going for drinks with the person, getting to know who they are, and getting to go mountain biking or on a hike with you so that you guys can then join forces and try to succeed in creating something in the world.
Exactly.
I mean, that is it. I've learned so much from this. Hey, so what is, I can't not get a guy like you in here with a lot of the battle scars and talk about the past.
Scars.
You got to have something. What was, I really want to get an honest answer here, and you've been great so far, and I appreciate that, and I know the audience does. What was the hardest moment in the history of GoldMine? Was there a moment when you said, my God, this sucks, it's too hard, we got to pack it in? Was there a time that you were on the precipice of failure?
Absolutely, Jason.
Tell me about that moment.
Where there are multiple moments.
What's the one that just came to mind? The scary one. The one where you went home to your wife and you cried. Did you ever go home to your wife and cry and say, I think it's not going to make it? Was there ever, you did?
Yeah. No, cry?
Well, you broke down, a little bit of a
certainly
breakdown.
Be in pain.
In
right?
pain.
Right.
You curled up in a ball like, God, this sucks.
I think the thing that I struggled with most was managing people.
Really?
People do the darndest things, don't they, Jason?
They do.
Yeah.
They do. It's tough.
And you think as an entrepreneur and a leader that you're doing everything you can to build an environment that the team can grow and everything. And when things happen, it's hard. You know, you take it personally.
Somebody left the company, go to start a competitor, what?
All the above.
Really?
You know, it's all the above. I could tell you a story that's
Give
funny.
me a good one. Come on.
Okay.
I know you got these stories.
So when I started GoldMine, Ilana and I started in this apartment in Canoga Park, right? So we got this 2-bedroom apartment, and I'd been dating my wife, my wife that I eventually married for a couple of years, and we were trying to make the relationship work. So I moved her down from Seattle. So basically, 90 days into the company, my wife moves in with Ilana and I, and I'm basically in my room. It's a weekend, and I'm trying to spend some time with my wife, right? Or my girlfriend.
Future wife.
Right. And Alon's like this intense guy. He's like, John, we got to do this stuff. And he's like throwing his shoes at the door, right?
Like, get out.
So I just go out there and pound him.
You punched him?
No, I didn't.
No. You're like, dude,
But I felt like it, right? It's like, come on.
It's tough to have a co-founder. I mean, sometimes you don't see eye to eye and you have to deal with each other. It's almost like, in a way, a marriage.
Yeah, but you know what? If you're not challenging each other and there isn't some passion there, right? You don't really have a partnership. And I think any kind of relationship where it's all just good and great isn't real.
It's a little phony, right?
It is.
It's a little phony. There has to be a little tension.
You know, it
can't be all roses.
It's the tension and the passion that created the team that made it all work.
Got it.
And so to this day, I love that guy.
Really?
I do.
It is like special. I always had that with Brian Alvey, who was the co-founder of Weblogs Inc. We always dream we're going to work on something again together, but it just never seems to get there because eventually you become. Why is it? You just become too set in your own vision. You can't have a partnership. Like, so many of these guys who grew up as partners, they wind up going solo.
Yeah,
why is that? Is it 'cause
That's the grass is greener thing, because guys who had partnerships a lot of times fantasize about doing it solo because they don't have to deal with that. And then the guys who are solo the first time
you
are
remove
like,
that tension, you can go faster, you can go just say, hey,
Right.
listen, I'm going to be the final answer.
I wouldn't say I'm solo. I've got a team.
But you make the final answer. You cut the checks, you're the CEO and sole CEO. There's nobody else who owns the stock you own.
You
That's
are in
true.
control. I am.
So there's never this, oh, God, we have to come to resolution on this or else the whole company is stalemated. There's no stalemate.
That did happen in the GoldMine days where there was tension like that.
Stalemate tension.
Yeah.
This is on the brink.
Yeah.
These two guys got to work it out.
But I do
What do you
give.
do at a time like that? How do you work through that?
You know, I find when you get to that point, it's best just to walk away and take a moment, right?
Yeah.
Because we always make bad decisions when we're at that point, don't we, Jason?
Yeah, never speak when you're angry.
That's right.
That's a lesson I've learned.
Yeah. But one of the lessons I've learned in a business is you hire people smarter than you in the areas that you're not strong in.
Yep.
And you basically give them your vision, your passion, what you want to do, and you get out of the way and let it happen, right?
Yep.
And you're going to give them your input, right? And if they're smart and strong, they're going to argue with you. And most of the times you find a resolution. Sometimes you have to step up and just say, no, it's going to be this way. And that's just the way it works.
Yeah. So what do you do when you have somebody who's making mistake after mistake after mistake and you stopped rooting for them? Right? Because it's easy to say, like, hey, this person over here, I'm going to let them get out of their way. But what if they're effing up?
You know,
and you got to come in there and go, hey, what's going on here? This is broken. This is not the quality I need.
One of the lessons I learned as an entrepreneur is it's best to make decisions early and cut mistakes. If you feel you're at that point.
Right.
If you can give somebody feedback and get them back on track, that's great. But after a
if
while, if it's not
them
working,
too many times,
it's done.
if there's any doubt, there is no doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way it was explained to me by somebody I respect.
Yeah.
If you're doubting it too much, there's too many mistakes, you got to just cut your losses. You got to cut bait.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah.
Life is short.
It is.
This has been an amazing conversation. We could talk for 3 hours, but we've talked for an hour. I want everybody to go try Nimble. That's all I'm asking you to do. This is a great product, and it's free for one person. Just go sign up, check out nimble.com. Hey, and Tyler's using it. You like it?
yes. It's evolved since really, I think I got on it really early.
Yeah. It seems to be evolving quickly. And if you were a developer wanting to live in Southern California in the most awesome, like, one of the most awesome cities in the world, but certainly one of the best quality of life in the United States, and you wanted to work at your company, it would be like maybe they just email John at nimble.com or something.
John, Jon.
Jon.
Jon. At nimble.com.
Hey, thank you at GoToMeeting for providing wonderful, wonderful service. And you guys go sign up using the promo code START. Email your receipt to contest@thisweekend.com and win a brand new MacBook Air and Logitech HD camera from Tyler. Thank you, Hiscox, for providing us with great, affordable insurance as startup companies. Just spending like $1 a day, $2 a day on insurance is going to be an important. You have insurance, right? You got a lot to lose.
I'm covered.
You're covered. You need to be.
I have an umbrella over me.
You would never, ever start a business without insurance. How many times you get sued in a decade running GoldMine? How many times you get threatened to get sued?
You get threatened.
Dozens.
Yeah.
It would be over a dozen.
I'm happy to say I never set foot in a courtroom.
Right. It always winds up getting settled. But you did have some legal bills.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with insurance, hey, sometimes you don't have to pay those legal bills. The insurance people are there paying for it. And that's what Hiscox does. They protect your business. Go check out hiscoxusa.com/smallbiz. Thank you to Senior Vice President Jim Whetstone, for helping me understand more about their wonderful service. Everybody go check out nimble.com. It's just awesome, and it's great to have a great entrepreneur here who's been through so much, give us so much great perspective. I'm 40 now, so I think I got to retire in 2 years and spend 8 years with London. I've been slowing down. I work from home in the morning, spend time with my daughter.
The moments go by so quick.
It is amazing.
And you can't buy those back with whatever you make.
I realized that, it's something my wife was like, I don't know, when she was like 6 months old or 9 months old, she's like, you really need to put her to sleep. It's like this amazing experience. And I was like, yeah, but it's like so hard to get home at that time. And then I just like, 3 days a week, I'm getting home on time to put her to bed.
Yeah.
And just race home to put her to bed.
Yeah.
And those are some of the best memories I have of the first year.
Now my daughter's reading me books at night.
She's putting you to bed.
That's right.
She'll be changing your Depends in 10 years.
Yeah,
Forget about it. And the time you put in the early years, that's what you listen. When you're, 80, 90 years old and you need somebody to change your Depends, or you want somebody to come visit you in the old age home or in your retirement house and bring the grandkids, what you did in those first 10 years is going to determine what they're going to do in those last 10 years of your life.
Well, what I was excited about this summer is that my son thought enough about our relationship that he invited me on a 35-mile High Sierra backpack trip with him. And,
how old is he?
He's 14.
So a 14-year-old invited their dad to spend the weekend with him?
No, it was a week.
A week?
Yeah.
What 14-year-old does that?
So
I thought they're supposed to hate you at that age.
Exactly. Most kids don't even want to be seen with their parents, and the fact that we're able to spend a week at 11,000 feet up in the high Sierras together was priceless.
Hey, so if he comes to you and he says, "Hey, Dad, college is going to cost 150 dimes. How about you give me 100? I start a business." What do you say?
I'd support him.
Really?
Yeah.
God, I hope he's listening right now and he takes those 100 dimes off you and starts a business. College, higher education, rip-off, right?
No.
At this point? No?
No.
Necessary?
No. But I believe in the experience.
The experience.
What were you like at 18 years old? I know what I was like.
I had to work.
I wasn't ready. Right, so I think that extra time helps you grow, and I worked my way through college. I worked in a computer land store selling computers to.
That's what I did.
No way.
My first job was cleaning printers. My second job was selling printers at this computer place, Wolf Computers.
Yeah, and then this is where I learned about the reseller
only job I was
channel.
ever fired from. That's how I learned about the reseller channel.
Yeah.
And then I wound up working for the integrators.
We got to go to dinner.
I sold. What I sold was, remember the HP printer? Then the HP 2 came out.
Yeah.
And it was like this big, it was like this tiny little HP printer. I was selling those. They were $2,000 each. I was selling them like 50 at a time to law firms. And they would, because of networking, not every law firm had networks at that point. In '89, they would put them on everybody's desk.
Yeah.
Everybody got their own printer.
That's right.
Or people ran floppy disks around. It was called SneakerNet. That's what the internet, before the internet, they called it SneakerNet. Literally, people would run disks down to the person with the printer.
When I was selling computers back in Computerland, it was 45% margin on PCs, and I sold 350 XTs to an
PC XT.
Yeah, to an unnamed company, and they shipped them to China back in the day. And
wow. The XT, which had I think it had like a 5 megabyte hard drive in it.
Yeah.
The hard drive was this big. It was crazy, the XT. And I think that had CGA.
XGA.
XGA,
Something like
that?
Before VGA.
Yeah. was way before VG.
Yeah.
And the Computerland CEO went on the lam,
Did he?
famously. Yeah, I think that was the guy who created Computerland. He eventually went on the lam, tax evasion, and he just resurfaced. They've been chasing him for decades, but Computerland went public. It was like one of the hugest, biggest companies in the day.
They were.
Interesting.
There was no channel back then. Computerland was the channel for selling computer technology to corporate America.
Yeah. It's interesting how the industry just went from like the hardware, the operating system, the software, the applications, the service, networking, and now the sort of software as a service, all in the cloud.
But I think that what most SaaS companies don't truly understand is the power of the reseller and the power of services.
Which is?
Well, the thing is that I don't care how easy you make an application. It really does take somebody to understand the customer's needs to help facilitate, train, and implement to truly make these things successful. Because today, it's not one product that stands out there. They're tied together loosely into a conglomerate of applications that are all working together simultaneously.
Right.
And the beauty about Nimble is it's the Trojan horse for small business. It gets your foot in the door. And once you can solve the relationship issues, then you can basically sell them additional products like MailChimp or HubSpot or an Assistly support thing. So we're going to be announcing our MailChimp integration soon.
MailChimp sponsor of This Week in Startups. Did you know that?
No.
They're one of my biggest and longest sponsors, and I've been using them for a long time. Solve a lot of problems for us. Hey, so let me do a whole nother thank you at the end of the program. Anyway, listen, this could go on for hours. What a great program. Thanks a lot for being on the program.
Thank
Everybody
you,
go check out nimble.com. We'll see you next time. Are the mics up again? Okay, good. So the mics are up, and I'm now showing. You see, hey everybody in the chat room, how did we do? I see that's a good one. Rate the show, scale of 1 to 10. Rate Travel's Insight, 1 to 10. Rate the guest, 1 to 10. Let us know what you thought of the show if you're in the live chat. And so here's what we're going to do. We're moving out of here, by the way. We're going to cover sort of 14,000 square feet. It's awesome. We need extra office space. We got 4,000 square feet.
You do where?
Culver City.
I'm going to need some.
Really?
Yeah.
I have the greatest, most beautiful office.
But it's got to be cheap. I'm a startup.
I think I'm paying 40 dimes for 14,000 square feet. I got the 6 deal on it. And it's beautiful, 25%. Unbelievable space. 80 parking spaces.
I'd love to share some space.
Yeah. It's gorgeous. I'm going to have a chef there and everything.
I like the idea of Culver City.
Culver City's great. You know what the thing is? Going from Brentwood, it takes me like...
You're still on the mic.
I know that. Yeah, we're like Culver City, yeah, exactly. Wow, look at that, 9.5, wow. It's scored yeah, Culver City is just great, and we're 1 mile from, like, we're under a mile from Helm's Bakery and a mile to downtown, where all their factories are. And it's 2 blocks from where the new train station is going to be in January, February, it'll start going up here in Jefferson. And under that, there's 500 parking spaces. Yeah, I think Culver City is the future. I'm actually going to move out.
So you have 4,000 square feet.
I have like 4,000 extra.
All right, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I'll send you the information.
All right.
Basically, I need 10 and 14, so I was like, we'll just get
Because I'm going to need like that interim space because right now we're in a